Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's talk about what is happening with the stock. Pretty wild day. It is the final day of September. So there was some, wonky price action, of course, throughout the day. There was, just wonky price action throughout the day. This usually happens at the end of quarters, right? This was the last day of the quarter as well. So we are entering the fresh quarter now in October. Entering quarter four, which is going to be very interesting. But yeah, let's talk about NVIDIA. Let's talk about what I personally believe was going to happen next. And yeah, let's just jump into it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership session is live. That link is down below. For just $2.99 a month, you get access to all my intraday thoughts, post updates, technical analysis, options flow, etc. Every single day, the market is open on Tesla and just sometimes the broader market and bonus stocks as well. Or for $5 a month, you get access to all of that I just mentioned, but also NVIDIA daily updates as well if you're interested in that. But let's just jump into it. NVIDIA closing the day pretty much exactly flat, closing the day up a measly 0.03%, closing out, we'll just say $121.50 per share, which unfortunately is going to be a little bit of an underperformance compared to the market. Now, NVIDIA, pretty wild stuff. So let's talk about this, right? NVIDIA had this rising channel, or wedge rather, right? We were in this rising wedge, broke down below it, and actually the first 4 hour, you can see it kind of closed right at it roughly, but then the second 4 hour was actually looking like it was going to close below as well, but the market within the last, what is this, like 20 or so minutes, you can see these 3 white candles on the 5-minute chart pumped. It just simply pumped. There's no other way to put it. The market pumped, right? And that put NVIDIA back into the wedge, which is again another reason why I'm sometimes not the biggest fan of having these, trend lines and this and that and that. I prefer horizontal levels. But regardless, the point is the fact that we came back into it. Now, that's a good sign, right? That is a good sign for the bulls. But the main thing I'd be personally looking at rather is this. Let me go remove this, go back to 21 EMA. So today when we sold off in the morning, right, we had that, NVIDIA gap down like 2.5% or something like that, and it sold off, and then it obviously rallied since. Look where it stopped, almost exactly at the 21 EMA. Like almost, you couldn't ask for a better test of the 21 EMA and hold. Like this is just absolute perfection, right? Pretty much perfection. So that's a really nice sign to see. The fact that NVIDIA is holding that is really, really good. But unfortunately, NVIDIA right now is kind of in la la land, right? It's kind of like in like a limbo land. Why do I say that? Because right now it's kind of right in the middle of two very crucial levels at 121.5. Why? Well, because this, right? The main support, of course, is going to be pretty much 118 now, right? Which is where the 21 EMA is. This is where we held the previous area over here, right? We had the bull flag over here, kind of zigzagging, getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and we ultimately broke out, right? But this area, back when we were doing the bull flag, kept getting resisted pretty much at 118, 119. So far, we're turning that area back into support, which is actually good. That is good. However, the fact that we lost 123 is not great before, like, what was this, Thursday or Friday. The fact that we lost 123 is not great, right? The fact that we kind of were on the verge of breaking out but didn't isn't great. So the way I'm personally eyeballing it is this, right? It's kind of in limbo land because one of these levels is going to crack. Whether we start closing daily candles below the 21 EMA, which is around 118, or we finally get that breakout above the top of this trend line, which let's say it happens sometime this week, pretty much above 125.5 to 126-ish, somewhere around there, a daily closure will be very bullish. If we get the daily closure above that level, above the trend line of 125.5 to 126, and if we get that daily closure, obviously it's bullish. The next levels to look out for are going to be 130, 135, and then all-time highs at 140. Pretty simple. Those are the main levels to look for. However, if we crack below the 21 EMA and we close more, again, very important, we close a daily candle below the 21 EMA, essentially below 118 roughly right now, that's bearish. And that means NVIDIA most likely continues its way down even further and most likely makes its way down to about that 108, 110, rough area, right? That's just the way I'm eyeballing it right now. But let's try to figure out, okay, but is there anything hinting at maybe, it's the smarter place to wait for one of these to break, but is there anything hinting at as to, okay, well, maybe, which direction can it maybe go to? Like, which one seems a little bit more plausible right now? Let's talk about that next, right? So despite today being technically a green day, despite NVIDIA essentially going sideways for the most part, my indicators are starting to look a little bit concerning, right? Let's talk about it. So first, the MACD. MACD is actually looking okay, still bullish crossover, but it is starting to make lower highs. Again, MACD is a very slow indicator. I wouldn't put too much weight into this, right, for now. Because honestly, if we even if we flash sell off down to 110, 108, I think the MACD actually still might be bullish across, I'll be completely honest. But RSI is also kind of neutral. So honestly, the MACD and the RSI right now are kind of neutral-ish. Maybe RSI is slightly leaning bearish because it is below the average, the yellow lines, I guess. But where I really want to put your attention to are these three down here. First, we have the stochastic. The stochastic has officially, crossed bearish, right? It crossed bearish last week, but it's continuing to cross bearish, even though we actually ended up having a nice little bounce today from 118 all the way up to 121.5, which is a pretty decent bounce. It's still just pointing straight down. The stochastic it's still pointing straight down and is still crossed to the bearish side. Just that's not ideal. Like, I personally don't like to see that. That just gives me a little bit of sign of concern. Maybe it could be a false flag. Always a possibility. But when I'm seeing something like this, it's all about probability. Not possibility, probability. And I don't like that personally. Just me personally. I don't like that. So that gives me some caution. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I added a new indicator called the true strength indicator. Similar to the RSI and the stochastic, very similar idea. The point of all these three indicators, or really four, honestly even five, they're all very similar in purpose. It might seem like there's a lot of indicators, but they all serve a very similar purpose. It's just to show trend. That's all they're doing, right? The more that agree, the more powerful that trend in that respective direction probably is. So right now, stochastic is saying bearish. SMI, not yet, not bearish just yet, but it is pointing straight down and it's curling down. So, if this thing crosses bearish as well, that's another tick to the box of this is not good, essentially, right? Then we also have the BX trender, right? Also making lower highs. So despite us technically being green today even, it still made a pretty noticeable lower high, which is further telling me and showing me the fact that this pump is okay. Maybe I wouldn't call it a pump. I mean, it's a pump if you count it from the lows of today. It's it's on low volume and it's just not to be fully trusted just yet. Just my opinion. That's why I'm getting conflicting results. The MACD's kind of looking neutral. RSI's kind of looking neutral, but these three down here are starting to look bearish, if not already bearish, right? So that's why, to me right now, and the way I'm personally eyeballing it is the fact that there's no clear edge here. It doesn't seem like there's a very clear edge. And when there's no clear edge, you wait for a better confirmation. And to me, what I personally view right now as the better confirmation is a break above or below one of those levels. Again, below the 21 EMA, okay, now we probably get a confirmation. We're probably going to continue selling off. Above 125.5 to 126, above the trend line. Great. NVIDIA is probably going to continue overall rallying. Obviously, maybe, it can rally up to, let's say, 130 and then make its way back down, retest and go higher. Sure. But the point is the fact that that's a bullish confirmation. Obviously, nothing's perfect. All of these can be false breakdowns, whether it's below the 201 EMA, like we actually did over here, or a false breakout, kind of almost like what we did on Thursday. Similar-ish. Obviously, nothing's perfect, but it's all about probability, right? It's all about lowering your probability to lose. And if you do lose, lowering the loss itself, right? Looking for those better entries. And that's just the way I'm looking at NVIDIA right now. Unfortunately, there's just no real clear cut edge here because of that situation, right? As of right now, the most, I guess, quote unquote, logical thing would be to expect another move back to the down part of this overall tightening that we're getting, right? Because again, NVIDIA, right from here, go ahead and bring this up. Came all the way down here, came all the way up here, came all the way down here, came all the way up here. Naturally, you would expect the next move to be, well, let's come all the way back down here again. And then we'll see from there, maybe get a bounce and then finally break out. Or maybe we just crash under, right? That's just kind of the natural thing to expect. And even though we had a green day today, a lot of these indicators are still just not really showing a lot of strength. In fact, they're actually weakening. So that's why, to me right now, I'm not actually playing NVIDIA. In fact, I'm actually playing AMD. I actually like the way AMD looks a little bit more, even though it's red today, obviously. I do like the strength it's been showing and how it broke these recent highs, came out of this breakout over here. So to me, AMD rather, actually looks pretty damn good. As long as it doesn't really fall below like 160-ish. As long as it holds 160-ish, man, it's looking pretty damn good. And I'm not going to lie. I like the way it's looking. Despite being overbought, the trend is just looking phenomenal for AMD. For now. Obviously, things can change. I have stop losses. I did enter NVIDIA or AMD. I'm already up on it. But, just take it for what it's worth, right? I do think AMD looks a little bit better than NVIDIA. Personally, NVIDIA just, again, it seems like it just needs that confirmation, right? Like AMD breaking out of this, of this green line right here is essentially NVIDIA breaking out of this top trend line, which is that 125.5 to 126. It's just AMD already did it. Obviously, nothing's perfect. Maybe if, the thing is like, the thing that's concerning though is for AMD as well is if NVIDIA does indeed come to the bottom of this channel, there is a good chance that AMD will get pulled down with it. So that's my only real concern right now, right? So we'll see how that plays out. But just again, strictly looking at only AMD, it's actually looking pretty decent here. NVIDIA, not bad or good. It's looking neutral. It's very neutral to me right now. That's the thing I don't like about it. I don't like it when it's neutral. I'm not getting a clear edge either way. So I'm very neutral about the stock, unfortunately, until I see a break above or below one of those levels like I just mentioned before. So yeah, but again, my indicators are signaling some weakening. So I am slightly leaning bearish, I guess. If I had to pick a direction, if someone forced me to pick a direction, I do lean a little bit more bearish than bullish here, but not by a whole lot, because again, I am personally just waiting for a clear cut direction, right? In terms of options flow on Cheddar Flow, you can see a little bit of a mix, right? In terms of options, in terms of calls and puts, ultimately, right? A lot of mix of flow here. But if we go over to Black Box, you can see NVIDIA actually is by far the most confirmed bearish flow today at about 60 million. So we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. We'll see how everything moves forward and what to expect. But yeah, I'm a little bit cautious here. I'll be completely honest. I'm not jumping up and down for this current NVIDIA price. I need to see a break above or below, and then I'll get more confidence for that further continuation in that respective direction. But thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching. I just said that. Said it again. Twice the amount, I guess. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for the next update as per usual. And yeah, until then, thanks for watching. Peace.